My name is Bo Gray. This is my final research paper and video. I have my three members here, my girlfriend, sister, and cousin. So here we go. So today we are going to be talking about the Asian American culture. I have just a PowerPoint that's just going to be guiding what we're going to be talking about, and then a research paper that I wrote, kind of just talking about some of the main points. So the Asian American culture is one of the largest cultural groups in the United States today. The numbers continue to grow and are very diverse, ranging from many different countries in Asia, such as Japan, China, Korea, Vietnam, and many more. According to the Brigham Young University School of Education's Diversity Department, the first Asians to settle in the United States were Chinese Filipinos, who originally migrated to Mexico from what is now Louisiana. Beginning in the 1840s, increasing numbers of Chinese workers immigrated to the western U.S., as well as Japanese, Koreans, and Filipinos to Hawaii. These early immigrant laborers underwent much persecution and were not granted citizenship, even if their children were born in the United States. Conflicts in their own countries have led to the increase in immigration of Asians to the United States over the years, which mainly started in the 1970s and 1980s. Many viewed the United States as a place of opportunity and would be granted opportunities in the U.S. that they would not have in their home countries, whether that be in school, sports, a job, or the ability to gain resources to provide for themselves or their family. It is not uncommon to see that is one of the main reasons why Asian people will migrate to the United States. LivingFacts.com says nearly 7% of the United States population is Asian American. Hawaii is the state with the highest amount of Asian American population, and 88% of the Asian American population growth has occurred from 2000 to 2020. So what we'll be talking about next is characteristics of Asian people. So Asian people have several characteristics that make them recognizable as people. According to factsanddetails.com, in almost all cases, Asians have straight black hair and dark eyes. They also tend to have less body hair, less facial hair, flatter faces, smaller nose, wider cheekbones. They are also known to be smaller in terms of height, but numbers say the size of Asian people has gone up in recent years. The average Asian woman height is 5 feet 3 inches, and the average Asian man is 5 feet 8 inches tall. Asian people typically have tan skin, which is sometimes called yellow skin in Asian culture. According to BritAndSia.com, key Asian values include discipline, hard work, educational achievement, and balancing work and societal needs. As referenced above, many Asian people will migrate to the United States for educational purposes to pursue a good education. Some view the education one can get in America can open more opportunity than education in an Asian country. Many high schools and universities around the United States have arranged American Scholar programs, which are programs installed to have foreign students into their schools and represent diversity into their school. Ursuline High School in Youngstown is where I went to high school, and Ursuline supports the American Scholar program. We had several students in my class from China and Japan who came to the United States to pursue an education and were very included and fun to have around, as they were great people and brought diversity to a Youngstown area that is mainly an Irish, Italian, and African American town. These students worked very hard on their education and to pursue an academic scholarship at universities around the United States in their specific field of study that they wanted to pursue. ScienceDirect.com talked about the Asian culture and what religious beliefs Asian people have. According to their survey, it was said about 46% are identified as Christian, 15% as Buddhist, 6% as Hindu, and 2% as Muslim, and 2/3 of those people said that religion hold an important part of their life. The American Scholar students all came to Ursuline, or the ones that came to Ursuline were all Catholic Christian, and as Ursuline is a private Catholic school, they continued on with their beliefs and values that Ursuline carries and saw no drop-offs in their values and tradition that they held in their home countries. Food is a big part in any race or country, and as prime example of this is Chinese, Japanese, and Korean restaurants are scattered throughout the United States. These restaurants provide the opportunity of sharing the great types of food that are in other countries, but to provide foreigners that are in the United States to experience some of the things they miss from their home country. Every country has their own food identity, as people will often say, oh, I'm in the mood for Italian tonight, or Mexican sounds good tonight. Countries are known for the food they are famous for making. Americans are known for their burgers, hot dogs, chicken, to name a couple. Italians eat a lot of pasta, pizza, and bread. Mexicans eat a lot of tacos, quesadillas, and rice. Chinese, Japanese, and Korean cultures, just to name a couple, combine all of these foods, making them unique in their own way. These foods contain a lot of noodles, vegetables, proteins, and rice. Sushi and fish are also big in their cultures. They have very distinct and different sauces that they use on their food as well. And around the Youngstown area, there are a handful of Chinese, Japanese, and Korean restaurants that are very popular. Main Moon is a Chinese restaurant that is very popular. Sawa and Mizu are Japanese hibachi cuisines that are very popular and do quite well in the area as well. Every race, talk about some stereotypes now. Every race known to man carries their own stereotypes, and Asian culture holds no exception to that. The American Psychological Association wrote an article on Asian stereotypes in 2018, which states that they often fall victim to a unique set of stereotypes, including the false belief that all Asian Americans are successful and well adapted that render them individual in discussions of race and prejudice in America. Evidence also suggests that Asian Americans, who represent about 7% of the U.S. population, are frequently denied leadership opportunities and are overlooked in research, clinical outreach, and advocacy efforts. When speaking of Asian stereotypes, a lot of focus is focused on academic achievement. People tend to think that Asians are all highly successful academically and that being smart in school is a given when it comes to Asian people. That, in fact, is not true. People do work hard in studies to be granted a good education. Grace Kao and Peter Shinkota wrote an article in April of 2021 which blames the media for Asian American stereotypes in relation to feminism and masculinity in Asian American men and women. If Asians are viewed, this is Kao, a quote from Grace Kao. If Asians are viewed as quiet and submissive, then Asian American women are treated as ultra feminine, while Asian American men are stripped of their masculinity. Asian men are seen as passive, geeky, and unattractive, which in turn makes Asian American women seem more available as objects of desire. This portrayal is harder to pinpoint, but equally dangerous. Shinkota, who I just mentioned, is an actor who works in the United States, but his character is often portrayed as not having any romantic or sexual desire. Shinkota states in the article, end quote, "I have appeared in 60 film and TV projects. In almost every case, my character was unable to express any sexual or romantic desire," he says. "In fact, in only two of my roles did my character have love interest. However, both of those were doomed," end quote. These patterns are echoed in individual accounts from Asian American men. Chef celebrity Eddie Huang wrote in the New York Times, "Yet the one joke that still hurts, the sore spot that even my closest friends will press, the one stereotype is that women don't want Asian men." End quote. These experiences are manifested in the acting roles for which Peter has been cast, his characters that have never had an ordinary romantic relationship. However, yet the stereotype proves not to be true. Bowling Green University did a study on marriage statuses of the four major racial groups in the United States: Asian Americans, whites, Hispanics, and African Americans. And out of the four groups, Asian Americans held the largest number of marriage rate at 57.7%, followed by whites, Hispanics, and then African Americans. The article also states how there is a stereotype that Asian people don't hold any prominent roles in the United States as far as business goes, but again, this is not true, as nearly 10% of businesses in the United States are owned by Asian Americans. I was asked to find a wow moment in this research process, and that moment for me was when I found the article written by Kao and Shinkota and heard what they had to say about the stereotypes of Asian Americans and their romantic denial Shinkota had talked about. I also thought it was pretty crazy when I looked up the percent of married Asian Americans, and I was expecting those numbers to be low based off the stereotypes, and that was just not true at all. So, again, the Asian American culture is one of the largest in the United States. It is a culture that is rapidly growing. The number is always increasing, and these people view the United States as a place where they can flourish and grow, and are a very diverse and unique culture.